Nancy, you and I were talking not too long ago about various needs in this area, especially for our older residents who are pretty isolated. So I wanted you to share with everyone some of the thoughts you had, because they're really important.
Well, I think they are, and I was very surprised at our meeting last night for the board. We were had a presentation on COVID vaccines, and the percentage of people over 65 in Caroline County is higher than 50%. I don't have my papers with me. I don't know, it was 52, 56.
That's amazing.
So the demand for people who need help as they get older, such as me, will continue to grow. So there are some things that I think we need to think about as a church that we can do to relieve some of the burdens. And we all know people in our congregation who have been under stress with helping senior family members or distant family members. And it can be things like they need a ride to the doctors. And we have some people who still do drive. We used to have a men's group that carried people around when they needed them. And so that is one need. Food shortage is still a need. Maybe we need to think about starting up the frozen dinner or casserole program again. And then we used to have a telephone tree where you would just check on people. Certain people had certain people they check on. You know, call one person once a week, and maybe you have 2 or 3. And I think all those are things that would keep us more aware of needs. But the other thing is it is so hard for people who are not in a situation where they qualify through insurance or through the government to get in-house aid or help, but yet they're not really ready to leave their home. So I thought, man, if we could think of some way, or someone could come up with a way to find a grant or find someone interested in starting a small business for someone who just wanted to work, so many hours a week, could go in, do light housework, prepare a meal, just talk to someone who's by themselves, and maybe make a little bit of money on the side. But that would be a great beneficial outreach program to do. If there are any grants for something like that around, I do not know. But I think there's a real need for it. Even people who qualify have to get on a waiting list with social services to get somebody to come in and sit with them. You can hire your own family members, but most of your own family members may be in the same position as you are. So I thought that was hard. But those are some community needs that I've seen, and maybe if those of us that are able can just do a little bit more in some way. You can't go visiting at hospitals, of course, and that's not the best place for a lot of us to be, and people need to rest when they're in the hospital. But home visits, home calls, offering to take people somewhere, picking up someone's groceries after they've called it in would all be helpful to a lot of our seniors.
Right, and as you point out, this is a need that's going to continue to grow in this area, so that for us to get prepared to help. And I love your idea of a grant to help people get trained to do some of this work, because that benefits not only the person receiving the care, but the person giving the care, because I know there are people who are always looking for work too.
Right, definitely. And especially people who maybe they have children in school and they don't want to work full-time, but want a flexible program where they can work so many hours a week for someone would be beneficial. I know when my kids were little, I was lucky enough to get a job where I could work just 3 days a week and still have time to be with the kids and do other things. And I worked the school schedule, so it was easy. But this would be someone that would still be able to do sort of the same thing.
Right.
And maybe they'd like it enough that they want to go ahead and get certified through Social Services Board where they can work full-time
Right.
in someone's home.
It'd be a great way for people to try it out and see if they liked it.
Right.
So I think it's a great idea, and I'm so glad that you're willing to share it, because the more people who put their thinking caps on about this kind of thing that would be starting sort of from the ground up, the better, because maybe all together we can figure out a way to
help
address it.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's easy to come up with ideas. It's laying those first bricks.
That's
for that
right.
foundation, you know?
Exactly.
I can tell you what I want my house to look like, but I don't know how to build it. You know? So but I just think it's going to be a growing need in the whole
Yeah.
country. I mean,
Right. You're right.
The baby boomers, we're all getting older.
That's
And
right.
we're living longer, so.
Right.
We need to be ready to help one another as best as our bodies and minds will allow us to, but also try to figure out a way to train some of the youngers to take care of us during those years. And needs to start now before we get to
That's right. Well, Nancy, thank you so much. And I hope everyone will give this idea a lot of thought and prayer. Thanks.
Thank you.